I sometimes wonder what was disappeared first, among all the things that have vanished from the island. Long ago, before you were born, there were many more things here, my mother used to tell me when I was still a child. Transparent things, fragrant things, fluttery ones, bright ones, wonderful things you can't possibly imagine. That question, what disappears first, haunts every page of this quietly devastating novel, which brings me to the memory, please. I'm Zan. Konnichiwa, aloha, buongiorno, and what's up? And welcome to another episode of the Spiraken Book Club, where we talk about books and tell us our thoughts and ideas about it. And this is our 19th installment of Project 45 by 45, where I read 45 books before I hit 45. Can you believe it? 45 books. Kind of crazy. But let's actually get to it because this book is somewhat of an intriguing story, one that is an Orwellian dystopian speculative fiction story that deals with a lot of different elements. More importantly, this book was written in 1999 but released in the United States in 2019. And it is a beautiful book by Yoko Ogawa, which is known simply as The Memory Police. And this is a story that is truly, well, it's memorable, it's haunting, it's disturbing, it is all of these things at once. And it is the story of a young woman, our narrator, we never know her name, who is living on an unnamed island. And in this unnamed island, there is an unusual occurrence that occurs where things are forgotten. They disappear. You have moments of just forgetting them, and they no longer exist. And it's not like they physically don't exist, it's they just, you don't know what they are. And when you have these moments of that, generally the populace, what they'll do is they'll take the offending item. They'll kind of remember vaguely what it is, but they have no mental attachment to it. They don't know how to use it. What they'll do is they'll either release them, they'll destroy them, or they will burn them. For example, they forget about butterflies, so they open all their cages with butterflies, so butterflies fly away. Or with calendars, they take all the calendars and burn them because dates no longer matter. And on this unnamed island, things change. For example, when dates disappear, suddenly seasons don't change. When they're in the middle of winter and spring is never going to come. And there are individuals who can't remember the old times. They remember the old objects and they don't forget it. And these individuals are hunted by the infamous memory police, who want things to stay the same where people do not remember things. And if you're found with an offensive item, it's almost as if you are harboring a fugitive. And there are individuals who can't remember who want to try to run away, and they hide in locations. And this becomes very much a Anne Frank style survival story. And our main author, our main character, she is just living her life. Her mother remembered, she knows that, and she vaguely remembers things, but she can't pinpoint it. She has no attachment to it. Like if she saw the item, she would be like, "Oh, it's a flat metal thing. I don't know what this is, but I vaguely remember someone talking about this. But it's just a flat metal thing. I could throw it away." And until it comes to a point where she has to deal with the loss of a potential friend, and this leads her to start changing things. And this story is one where it's kind of baffling, kind of engaging, and more importantly, it's very just it's unique. And the dealing with memories is such a fascinating element to think about because memories are what we are. We are a physical body, we are cells, but memory is what makes us who we are. When those memories fade, what happens? What do we change? And the first quote is that I picked for this episode is one that is very important, which is simply, "My memories don't feel as though they've been pulled up by the root. Even if they fade, something remains, like tiny seeds that might germinate again if the rain falls. And even if a memory disappears completely, the heart retains something, a slight tremor of pain, a little bit of joy, a tear." And it's interesting to see the interactions between those who do not remember and those who do remember. Because the ones who don't remember, they're just destroying things. Just like we don't need this anymore. It's just here is a thing. It's unimportant. But the people who remember, like, you can't destroy that. That's a writing utensil, or that is a book, or that is clothes. It is something that is important. It has memories, or a photograph. It's not just a piece of paper. Those are the images, the memories of your parents. You can't, or your children, or someone in your life. You can't get rid of that. Oh yeah, I can't. And it's that nature which makes this story so engaging, intriguing, and more importantly, kind of dark. It's very dark. And since I said the author is a writer, she's also writing a story. And there's a story within a story which connects to this completely. And it is a haunting story because as the world changes, we see what is going on. There's a moment in here which is almost like Schindler's List with the girl with the red coat involving a pair of mittens that truly was shocking and like it fit this world so well. And this is a prose which are translated, so I have to take it with a grain of salt that this was maybe intentionally written like this or maybe not. However, this is a story that is one of those ones. A statement on the situation. It is this moment of you're wondering what's going on as you're dealing with the memories, but it's also with dealing with the authoritarianism of the memory police. Because these are individuals who will break into your home, have you facing the wall, where they search through every nook and cranny trying to find things. And when you have a situation where you're hiding someone in a building, it is terrifying because the slightest thing you forget to do will jeopardize everything. And not only the person that you're harboring, but the people that are harboring them are in danger. It's these moments which are terrifying and engaging and invigorating. And I can see why this is a National Book Award finalist. It is a story which it engages, it draws things out. And I know that I'm being very vague because this book is one where you have to experience it. And I could go through the whole story plot by plot. I'm not going to do that here. I don't think it would uh, be one which is warranted in this review. More importantly, it's one which wouldn't point out what's going on. It wouldn't help me to describe this because this is something that you have to experience your own. Because it is that memory which just kind of it permeates from this, and the loss of these situations and the trauma of this loss. The story within the story that I talked about is about a young woman who's losing her voice and her ability to speak due to some machinations from an individual. And that parallels our main character as she's dealing with these loss of things. She's trying to deal with that. Like, how can you communicate when you lose these elements about yourself? And then you have the losses of other individuals. There's a character who livelihood was erased. It doesn't exist anymore. So he's now just like, I was a whatever his job was, but now he's has to find something else to do. Or he's living in something which connects to that job. He's like, but I don't remember anything about it. I just know these were something I did. I did do this, but now it's gone. Very questioning, very confusing. I know, but it is important. It is very important that we don't remember to forget these things because forgetting is important. And that makes no sense because I'm forgetting. My point is that this is the thought process of remembering. Remembrance is important. As long as you remember things, they still exist. And also with remembering, there are the moments of the things that we don't want to forget, the things which are we don't want to end. We don't want our stories to end. We don't want these memories to end. We don't want things to end. When we have a day, a beautiful day, we never want the day to end. We want it to be wonderful. And this book illustrates that perfectly. It shows these moments where you don't want it to end. A birthday party with a friend, or just a simple day out when you're trying to get food. It's a moment where you feel a little bit of peace, but also it's a moment of that you don't want to end. And I think one of the best illustrations of this was in the novel, which was if you read a novel to the end, then it's over. I'd never want to do something as wasteful as that. I'd much rather keep it here with me, safe and sound forever. And that is also what the our main character's friend R is doing with this. He has to protect things because he wants his little haven, his little hiding place, to be a safe spot, a place where these things that are forgotten are stayed in shelter. And he tries to remind people, this is what this does, this is what this does, but people can't grasp it. It's you're trying to grab into air. You know it's there, but there's nothing in your hand. It might be there for a second. There's smoke. You can almost grab it, but then gone. And this is a very well, it's a masterfully done novel that is very elegant. significant, and more importantly, it's one which has a lot of dread in it because it gets disturbing as things go on, especially later on when more tangible parts are forgotten and they're still there. It's hard to articulate that. And then the story changes a little bit where instead of it being like you destroy it or you forget about it, it's now, oh, that doesn't matter. I can do this now, which you physically shouldn't be able to do. It goes from speculative fiction to more of a Japanese sci fi style. It's very different. I know I'm saying different a lot, but it's the best way I can articulate without spoiling. I'm trying not to spoil. Now, I know many of you may have never heard of this, but I highly recommend it. It is one of those books which it is truly worth reading. And as you can guess, for that reason, I have to give this our highest rating of really, really cool. Read it now. Some books you read, others you try to hold on to before they disappear. This one whispers, remember, and you will. Because you want to remember this. You want to see this book. You want to engage with this book. Will I read it again? I don't think so. I don't think I need to because I'll remember the lessons it taught. And I know that's very vague, but that's how best I could do with this one. And that's not a cop out. It's not. It is my feelings on this because this has a power and voice of its own when you compare it to other dystopian novels like 1984, Fahrenheit 451, 100 Years of Solitude, Brave New World. This is something which is different. And there's also a little element of questioning because early on in the book, we get a statement that's made by our main character about an incident that happened when she was a child and how she was perfectly fine afterwards. And it makes me begin to wonder that if all of this is something a little different. Now, I'm going to go on a little tangent here, but it'll make sense. In the novel Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami, that series is taking place in two different worlds, the world of the wall and the world that's in the present. Eventually, we discover the truth of that story, which, slight spoilers here, tiny spoilers. It turns out that they're the same, in the same sense, it is about the main character's mind. The wall and the real world are happening simultaneously within the person's mind in their subconscious and in the present, even though you don't feel like that. If you read it, it'll make sense, but I'm not telling you anything else about that. It's an awesome book, highly recommend it. It's very insane. However, in that point being, when we bring up that memory of the past and that incident that happened, I am brought to wonder if maybe this is something happening in the subconscious of our main character. That maybe this is a dream world and everything that they're forgetting is because our main character is forgetting because it is that going to nothingness. It's a interesting quandary. It's an interesting thought. I don't know. Maybe I'm being crazy. I don't know. It's just one of those where I'm thinking about it. And one other thing I'd recommend, one other thing I have to say about this book, which is important, is that there's a quote from another writer who was written in the 1800s that's quoted in this book of poetry. That book, that's one of the most important quotes from this book. And it wasn't originally going to be put as a quote from this book because it's from an actual different source material, but it's one which is important, which is simply men who start by burning books end by burning other people. And that fits us because the memory police are those men. They're the ones that will do these things. They do not ask questions. They are the ones who burn books. When books are forgotten, they'll just burn them all. And if you have a book, a shred of paper, they will take you away. They will punish you for the things that you do. And this. That is the element of the story, which is scary because the memory police do not fuck around. They do not screw around. They do not. They are uncompromising, unyielding, and more importantly, unforgiving. Well, until a certain point. But I digress. So if you've read this, let me know your thoughts. Email me personally at Xan, that's Xan at Spiraken.com. Tweet me at Spiraken. Let me know your thoughts. If you've read The Memory Police, if you didn't read it, what your thoughts are. Are you excited for what's going to happen next? Do you think that this is going to be adapted well into the new film coming out starring Lily Gladstone? Or do you think this is going to be, it's unadaptable? Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Anyway, with that in mind, let's actually get to what I'm going to be reviewing next week or next time, and that is going to be the Book of Disquiet by Pessoa. This is a book which is apparently about an individual who died in 1930 2013, and his uh, chest was found on his property. That was filled with a bunch of writings, and all these writings are from him, but they're not from him. I think he has dissociative identity disorder slash multiple personality disorder. We're not sure. We're going to find out. But anyway, as usual, I'm your host, Zan. I'm Gonzville. Catch you guys next time. And as always, keep reading books. I will see you later.